A week or so ago, The Guardian released a great article discussing how the outcome of next month's US election could impact us here in Britain. So we thought we'd build on that and make a video about how each potential president could deal with the UK over the next 4 years and beyond. Of course, as always, the big issue is Brexit and the potential future trade deal between Britain and America. But beyond the economic impact, we also take a look at politics, including the prospects for the special relationship, and how important the UK will be to the US in a post-Brexit world. Warning, this video contains a chlorinated chicken reference, if you wrongly assumed that we'd all got past that. If you're confused why we're not covering the US election more on this channel, then I might have the answer for you. TLDR US. Over there, we're releasing a ton of content about the 2020 election, the Supreme Court battle, and Trump's first 4 years. If you want to check out that content and be notified when we release more about the US in the run-up and aftermath of the election, then be sure to subscribe to TLDR US. The link to the channel can be found in the description. Let's talk about Brexit first then. With the UK supposedly leaving the EU soon, is that ever going to happen? Britain's going to have to fend for itself and negotiate trade agreements with the rest of the world. This isn't new information, but with Biden and Trump being so diametrically opposed, the different consequences of each being elected for UK-US trade deal is massive. Starting with the obvious, Trump was all for Brexit, it being part of the populist turn that contributed to his election in 2016. Whereas Biden, formerly part of the Obama administration, was plainly not. Now, this doesn't necessarily matter, because the reality is that it's happened, and there's no point crying over spilt milk. But the attitudes of the two men to the situation will surely impact how they prioritise a deal. President Trump is a friend of the UK government, and particularly Boris Johnson. Whether that be because he's a fellow Conservative, or whether the president sees part of himself in Johnson, once even proclaiming that they call him Britain Trump. Regardless, Trump's certainly keen to emphasise his love for the UK. Remember, his mum was Scottish, and as we all well know, he loves to golf in Britain. Despite the America First rhetoric, from the time he was elected to the presidency in 2016, Trump has been keen to talk up a trade deal with his friends across the pond, even if it hasn't actually come to fruition in the last 4 years. On the other hand, while of course he's not averse to doing a deal, Biden is less friendly to the UK in this regard. While Biden is not President Obama, he was second in command to the president who remarked that Britain would go to the back of the queue for a trade deal if Brexit went ahead. This didn't go down too well with Brexit supporters at the time, and certainly does not bode well for a favourable deal with President Biden. Additionally, the controversy surrounding the recent internal markets bill, see our videos on that from last month, which put the Good Friday Agreement at risk, did not sit well with Biden, who is of Irish ancestry. He tweeted, "We cannot allow the Good Friday Agreement that brought peace to Northern Ireland to become a casualty of Brexit. Any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent on a respect for the agreement and preventing the return of a hard border, period." Twitter diplomacy though it is, this is not a good omen for a deal between the two if Biden wins. As I promised I'd mention, chlorinated chicken is another potential stumbling block. There has been talk of the US and UK using a new Trans-Pacific partnership to loosen the lid on a deal, but this would likely see the same problems that previous talks have had regarding food standards. Let's move on to the political implications of the so-called special relationship. It's thought that Winston Churchill in 1946 was the first to emphasise a special relationship between the US and UK. Since the Suez Crisis in the mid-50s, while taking into account some fluctuations in closeness, the US and UK have been pretty tight buds. The height of this friendship probably came between Thatcher and Reagan, but Tony Blair also valued the bond with Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. However, experts are becoming increasingly worried about what the future holds for the special relationship, whether that be with a Trump or Biden administration. Despite his affinity for the UK on a personal level, it's thought that 4 more years of President Trump could seriously damage the decades-old partnership, due to his isolationist attitudes, and as John Sawers points out, the fact that he doesn't really believe in alliances. One could point to the seemingly friendly personal relationship between Johnson and Trump as a saving grace for relations between the countries, but this is only temporary and could even be described as artificial. In fact, in 2016, when Johnson was Foreign Secretary, he, albeit jokingly, commented that he wouldn't want to go to New York because of the risk of meeting Donald Trump. Not a great basis for a solid friendship. Rory Stewart has even claimed that in the event of a Trump re-election, the UK might have to make the first move and get out of Dodge, and even completely shift the attitude of the UK government away from an alliance on America. Things may not be much better under a Biden administration though. While many diplomats are expecting, and perhaps maybe hoping, that Biden will re-establish the traditional relationship that served the UK so well, due to his reputation as a normal politician and one with direct experience under Obama, this is by no means guaranteed. For one, normally in a US campaign, the UK would send a diplomat to follow each candidate around to build rapport. But the Biden campaign has barred this, fearing election meddling allegations, which has therefore stopped the UK from getting a foot in the door. And secondly, if we look at the history of the special relationship under Obama, while still remembering this doesn't necessarily reflect what Biden would do, even though the relationship was still strong with Cameron, it's common knowledge that his phone-a-friend in Europe was actually German Chancellor Merkel. Add to that Biden is Irish-American, and we could see a situation where the UK-US relationship flounders. This leads us nicely to the US-EU arc of a potential Biden administration. Kim Darrow, ex-UK ambassador to the US, echoing the sentiment of others, feels as though Joe Biden is more interested in rebuilding the relationship with European leaders that Trump has at times taken a sword to. With the UK leaving the EU, why would a Biden administration prioritise an isolated Britain when there's France and Germany as part of a whole network of European states to work with? Just as a quick counter to this, it has been suggested that even with a Biden administration, EU-US relations won't be perfect. For example, there's a sentiment that in his well-documented attacks on NATO, Trump has merely verbalised what many in the American establishment have been feeling for a while, that Europe relies too much on the United States. Looking at US-EU relations from Trump's perspective, considering how he's acted with the EU throughout his presidency, a shift to prioritising the UK in his second term is probably unlikely. So maybe there is some hope for Brexit Britain in this way. Returning to Brexit deals once again, this time the EU-UK deal, or lack thereof at the moment, it's fair to say that throughout Brexit negotiations, if he had made a call, Trump would fall down on Britain's side, as evidenced by his encouragement to play hardball and risk a no-deal departure. This support from American leadership on Brexit naturally puts the UK in a stronger negotiating position with the EU than it would be without their support. On the flip side, however, if we had a President-elect Biden for the last couple of months of 2020, assuming what we've said about his probable favouring of the EU turns out to be true, this might make the EU's negotiating position comparatively stronger to the UK. Now, it may already be too late, as following yet another breakdown of talks between the UK and EU last week, Prime Minister Johnson is preparing us for a no-deal Brexit in January. But there is still the chance that a change in this dynamic could play at least a small part in any last-minute negotiations. So there we have it. Regardless of who wins on November 3rd, or whenever results actually come in, it seems as though the UK will be worried and will have to do some serious work to prevent a decline. Let us know in the comments what you think though. Which candidate do you think will be best for the UK in the future? Is the special relationship dead, or can it be revived? And would a Biden win affect anything in the last chance saloon Brexit talks? Be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we release a video. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible. And if you want to see your name at the end of videos, then be sure to back us on Patreon. The link to that's in the description.